welcome to this episode of the Drink Less, Live Better podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Williamson. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Drink Less, Live Better and head to the website drinklesslivebetter.com where you can sign up for my 5-day Drink Less experiment, download my free habit tracker and join my email club for regular inspiration, ideas and resources to help you live better. This is rest for the restless. I'll sleep when I'm dead. The devil makes work for idle hands. No rest for the wicked, and other such nonsense being delivered through generations since the beginning of time. If you grew up in a household where rest was not embraced, you might have got to a point in life where being still feels uncomfortable and unsafe for you. Rest is not for after everything else has been done. Rest is vital for our nervous systems, our minds, bodies and souls. I'm here to tell you that life isn't slowing down by itself anytime soon, unless you make the choice to slow it down. Many of us take time off, go on holiday, even sleep more, and yet still feel tired. Not just physically tired, but bone tired, mentally foggy, emotionally flat. Calm doesn't just arrive because we've stopped working. And that's because calm, for most of us, has to be created, not waited for. A lot of people are running like a phone on 1% battery, maybe desperately looking for a charger, technically functioning but flashing red underneath. Still replying, still coping, still working, still pushing through. And perhaps this is where the conversation needs to lie, because rest is more than sleep. Sleep is essential, of course, but it's not enough. Different types of fatigue need different types of rest, and most of us are resting in mismatched ways. We try to fix a tired mind with physical collapse. We lie on the sofa scrolling after a day of constant thinking and wonder why it doesn't help. A brain that's been overworking doesn't want more input or distraction. It wants quiet and single focus. I like to think of rest as a wheel or a Venn diagram. There's physical rest, but also mental rest, emotional rest, sensory rest, and social rest. If you're emotionally drained, sleep isn't going to touch that. If you're sensory overloaded, another podcast or TV show might actually make things worse for you. So a helpful question isn't, how can I rest more? But what kind of rest do I actually need right now or want to schedule? Mental fatigue often needs fewer tabs open in your brain or on your laptop, fewer decisions, and one gentle point of focus. Emotional fatigue needs safety and expression, being able to say to somebody how you feel without them trying to fix it. Sensory fatigue needs less noise, less light, less input. Social fatigue often needs space from expectations, even from people you love. And here's a part that many people find difficult. Rest can feel hard, even though we think it shouldn't. We've been taught quietly and persistently that rest must be earned, that stillness is lazy, that productivity equals worth. For some nervous systems, slowing down doesn't feel calming at all. It feels dangerous. When you finally stop, the noise rushes in. The guilt, the thoughts, the urge to get back up and do something useful or finish something that we started earlier. That doesn't mean you're bad at resting. It might just mean your system has been living on high alert. This is why switching off with your mind rarely works. You can't think your way into calm. The nervous system doesn't respond to logic. It responds to signals of safety. So instead of demanding silence from your brain, perhaps start with your body. Gentle physical cues to help your system stand down. Slower breathing, warmth, repetitive movement, reducing decision making, doing something familiar and predictable. Calm doesn't come from forcing stillness, it comes from signalling safety. We might not need retreats or perfect routines. We might need micro moments, 2 to 10 minute resets built into real life, repeated often rather than done perfectly. Don't not rest because you haven't got an hour available to read your book. Choose small pause points in the day, a moment in the morning to breathe before grabbing your phone, a pause between tasks, a short walk without headphones, just around the block, letting your shoulders drop while you look out of the window when the kettle boils. These moments interrupt constant output. They tell your nervous system it doesn't have to stay on all the time. Something I've been thinking about a lot this week is whether I really need rest. I struggle with it so badly. Surely if I wanted to rest, it would be easy. So I've had a reframe. I think sometimes I actually need energizing, not rest. And energizing for me doesn't come from stillness. Not all tiredness means stop. Sometimes scrolling feels wrong because what you actually need is movement or novelty or laughter or creativity. There's a difference between being depleted and being understimulated. Low energy and high stress needs calming rest. Low energy and low stress might need gentle rest. But high energy with low mood often needs energizing action, and that flat bored feeling often wants engagement, not collapse. Rest and energy are different needs, and learning to tell the difference is powerful. So maybe this isn't about doing more self-care. Face masks and cucumber slices on your eyes might be okay, but maybe it's more about listening honestly to your nervous system, designing a life where restoration sits alongside output, not behind as a reward. Rest is a practice, not a prize. Calm comes from design, not escape, and you are allowed to need what you need, even if it doesn't look like rest in the traditional sense. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Drink Less, Live Better podcast. If you enjoyed it, please share it with someone who might need a little extra compassion today. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Drink Less, Live Better, and visit drinklesslivebetter.com for more tools and inspiration. Check out the show notes for a link to a hidden podcast episode that will help you with your 5 p.m. cravings and details about my one-to-one life coaching and sober coaching programs. And P.S. I believe in you.